Hi, welcome to Haven. This is a podcast that's a safe space for curiosity and conversation. I'm your host, Haven, and today I'm curious about why do compliments make us cringe? Why do compliments make us cringe? We've all seen it, where you walk up to someone and you're like, oh, I love your pants. And then they're like, oh yeah, I'm trying to hide the fact that I haven't had a pedicure in 3 months. Or like, oh, these things, like they were $5 or I stole them from my sister, or literally any other response other than a simple thank you. And why is that? And I had noticed that like a couple months ago, and then I was in a group setting with some friends and I was just curious. I was like, okay, guys, I want to take a poll. What do you feel when someone gives you a compliment? And we went one by one around the room, and the majority of people were like, I feel really awkward. I feel really uncomfortable. I feel weird. I want it to end. I don't want to talk about it. And it just made people kind of burr up. And I think it's interesting. Someone's trying to celebrate something in us, and we're, having the opposite response that's intended. So I want to dissect that a little bit. And the guest for this was someone who was in the room when I was polling people. And he said, I hate it. I feel weird. And then I thought, you're the exact guest that I would like to bring in this topic. So welcome, Robbie.
I was feeling uncomfortable as you were introducing me. So.
Well, I'm about to compliment you. I'm not kidding. Here we go. Robbie is a very gifted singer. He's a talented musician. He has more friends than anyone I've ever met in life. Everyone is Robbie's friend, and he counts them all as his best friends too. He has a beautiful, lovely marriage to his wife, Courtney, that they're both so special. But there's a lot I could compliment about you, but I don't want to start this off where you're just like totally cringing.
Yes. That's what I feel right now. Also, yeah, my favorite compliment is my wife, so yes, you could talk about her the whole time. I probably won't cringe.
Well, but that's not about you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's exactly what the point is. So, yeah, when you asked me about this, I was just like, I think I could talk about it forever because it's just a thing that I act like I've gotten better at it, and I haven't. I've gotten better at like not making someone else feel awkward because I'm realizing like, when I say anything besides thank you, they feel weird now. Mm-hmm. And most of them are just so genuine with it. But you asked me about it and it made me think, why is it like this? I've never thought about it. I guess I don't think about it because not a lot of people talk about it. Mm-hmm. I think it's a weird thing to talk about sometimes, like being okay with taking a compliment. Uh-huh. So yeah. And then even in my house, like me and my wife, we totally are bad at giving. We give compliments, but it's so hard to take it. Like my wife, if I say she looks good, she can't even talk back to me. If she says I look good, I run away. Like, yeah, it's really hard.
So play out a scenario. Okay, so if someone just heard you do a musical performance and they come up and they're like, "You're so gifted. That sound like moved me." What would you say and feel?
I would give credit to the production team for making me sound good.
Really?
I would say everybody that was with me, if I was singing with people, there's a band, I'll be like, it's so easy to sing with when you have a band like that,
And have you always done that since you were a kid?
Yes. Especially when I was a kid, like growing up Tongan, not a lot of people know about Tongans. And so, but that thing about like growing up and taking compliments is looked down upon. You're not allowed to. So, if anybody else would say like great job up there, they didn't even say like you did good, or did this a great job. It should be an easy like thank you, but we'll be like no, it's okay, no big deal.
Really? So even if you like at dinner like, Mom, this is delicious, would she say like no, or is it just like someone who you don't know saying that? Yeah,
we would never compliment because we weren't taught how to compliment,
Oh, so you wouldn't even say it?
Like, yeah, like Dick, she could tell it was so good because we finished every bite. But hearing other people compliment, now that you're saying that, if they said this is so good, my parents would just like talk about the recipe, or they'll say like, you know, like they got it from their parents. So there's never like this is one of my favorite things to cook, you know. And I just learned that line from like, you know, one of my friends, Joe, who like everything he makes is so good. And if I tell him like this is so good, he's like, yeah, I love, you know, he talks about he loves cooking. But yeah, my parents would not take a compliment. They couldn't.
So you saw it modeled.
All the time.
So you were just like, oh, this is how you respond if it's coming your way.
And what's funny is like, you're not allowed to take it. So you act like you don't want it, but deep down you do want it. And then when someone gives it to you, act like you didn't want it. But the other thing is like, if you're with people and if you see other people get compliments, now you really do want it because like everyone else got one.
Yeah, you're like deep down, you're like FOMO about compliments.
Yeah, like I want a compliment and then give it to you. And now you don't know how to act with the compliment. So
well, I think you do teach people about, because I'll compliment someone once, and if they totally deflect, I'm like, I now feel bad and I don't want to compliment you again because you made me feel weird. Like I feel like to compliment someone, I feel like you put yourself out on a limb too. And then I feel like you're left alone if someone doesn't receive it. And then it makes someone be like, oh, like I don't want to make that mistake again.
Yes. Yeah. But did you feel like when you grew up, you were taught how to do it, or you just...
So my family is like probably the other end. They are so like, everything we did was awesome. like that you got your water glass and you didn't spill. That is awesome. Like, and I see them do it with my kids. Like they are gonna think they run the world because they're like aunts and uncles are like so proud of them doing nothing. Then you can be like searching for something on the outside if that's what you're used to. So for me, my issue, I also feel weird taking compliments. I want to say, but it does feel deep down because for me, I do recognize that I like and then I need it. And then I feel bad of like, well, I'm going to hold on to this so much, or I don't want to get an ego for this, or I don't want to like totally, you know, need on this and thrive on it. And then it's like an ebb and flow of other people, you know? I remember asking someone similar to what you were saying, like Joe said, I love cooking. Yeah. They would compliment me. First, they would say, you're such a great girl drummer. And I would be like, just a drummer.
Yeah, just drummer.
Like, you know, you could just say drummer. Yeah. You know, like we don't have to throw my gender in there. Yeah. But then I was like, hey, when I get those compliments, I was like, what do I, like, is there a better way to handle that? And someone I looked up to was like, what do you love about drumming? Or like, yeah, like it's so fun to get to play that song. Like I love the toms part. Or like find the thing that you love and that you access where you're not absorbing it and putting it as your identity, but you are receiving it and you're not like deflecting it or putting it out. It's like that kind of balance of it. Because for me, I think either you deflect it and then still think about it, or you totally take it in and then you're needing that from other people. Like, is there the healthy way to accept a compliment and then like not make it go bigger from there?
I think that's a big thing. Hearing you say the word ego really, really helps me just remember the posture of my culture and growing up Tongan is just anything that feels like you're feeding your ego, that's where you have to like always fight to like not. But then it will go too crazy. So then like you downplay anything and everything. So like even like if you gave like if I'm giving like a generous gift to you, like of money because like I haven't seen you in a long time and you're here on some work and then you're gonna be leaving soon, and so my family's like, hey, let's give her this gift. It'll be like so much money and we're like, hey, it's just a little bit, you know, you'll probably be able to get a soda can or something like that. Like, and you always say everything is like not a big deal. Oh, we're doing this and just, you know, but it's like something about like the attention. Don't give me any attention on it, but here it is. And it's downplaying everything. And so I think like it's this idea of like being scared, like to feed your ego, but then now you're just like,
it's like a false humility.
It's false humility. And like, I didn't know about it until my friends called me out on it. Like,
really?
So many times.
When did they do that for you? What's an example?
Okay. I had one of the funniest stories with a compliment that I felt so bad. But I realized now, like, I'm so happy she put me on blast. But I was at a wedding and I wrote a song for this couple, like, just love them so much. And I wrote this song for them for that wedding day. And I played it at the reception. And then he gets up later and goes like, my boy wrote that for me. You know, and I was just like, you know, no, it's okay. This is y'all's wedding. And then, so then a girl comes up later with her husband, and she's just like, hey, what's your name again? You know, Robbie. And she, I just want to say, so good. That was so amazing. Did you do that? And she's trying to ask me questions. And I just, I can't remember what she said. I just remember, no, it was all God. It was all God.
Just, no, like I didn't do anything.
Yes. And I said, and I literally go, glory to God. And then she goes, God didn't sing that. You did. And when she said that, God didn't sing that. You did. Glory to you. And I went, I didn't even know how to take that. I was like, glory to me sounds horrible. I don't want to, you know, I don't want to get in trouble with this. So I just say, I was like, and I couldn't even say thank you. She caught me there and she goes, yeah, just take it. And then left me like that. And I remember telling a friend later, and then right away, whether it was my friend Mariah or Carlos, it was one of them. I could hear them both say this line to me. If I tell them that story, and they're like, "Oh yeah, that's false humility." Like, just you know, you're trying to act like it's not you, but you know it's you. You know, and I'm just sitting there like, I thought I am humble, you know. I thought I am being humble. Yeah. And like, I know my posture was I'm trying to be humble, but at the end, I'm just realizing, no, all these things that I just act like, no, it wasn't me. I did it because I saw that's how you do it, but I didn't know I was being falsely.
Yeah, you weren't trying to, but like real humility is accepting like the truth of it. And false is like, oh, like downplay, but the truth. It's still on me, yeah. I'm still thinking about myself. You know, another thing that you had said though about like even your background of like giving gifts or culture, it seems so like community oriented. And like, I wonder if that's also like the individual is like, no, don't celebrate the individual.
If you talk about us, I can hear that and receive it. Now I'm like the only one that's like, wait, remember? Yeah, I guess that does makes more sense. I'm talking about the singers and the band. If someone's complimenting me with singing, I can't take that. I could take the whole.
You can talk about the team, but you can't talk about your own individual. Yes, which is so interesting because especially compared to like Western culture, there's so much beauty in that. I feel like Western culture is like me, like give me the ball. I want to be the all-star, you know, and disregard the team. It doesn't matter. But then you're saying like Tongan culture is very much so the whole. Another way that I feel like people sometimes have an issue with compliments is, and this is primarily female, so I wonder if you'd see this, is where someone's like, oh my gosh, like such a cute dress. It's like, thanks, like I love your dress. Or like, you know, someone's like, oh, I love your hair. Oh, you look so cute today. And on one hand, I get it. It's like the wanting someone to feel as good, but then it's also like, no, I intended to compliment you on that. And now it feels like you're just trying to pick something off of me to like make it feel even, but mine was like special. Yes. And then this one now feels like it's just, oh, you're doing this to pacify me. Even though it's, again, it comes from like this space of kindness or maybe uncomfortability, but it feels strange when you just compliment back and forth.
1000%. I hate it actually when someone returns the same compliment. It just feels like the laziest. Like, and it felt like you're like, I didn't tell you how to say it back, you know? When someone, I was like, man, you look good. Like, no, you look good. And I actually know I don't. Like, I know I'm like dressed down and I know my shoes, you know, I'm wearing Crocs right now. No.
You're wearing Crocs right now. There's no way I look good.
I know you're lying, man. You know, so something about that makes it now, like, it sucks. Because like, I guess you received it, but you're like, now you're just doing it just, I don't know, just going back, saying it back to me. I wish you said something else. And even then it'll feel like you had to, but you still say something true and not just like, no, you.
It sounds like there's just so many different ways that this can go wrong.
What's the safest way for it to go right?
For it to go right is like a thank you, because like part of me thinks like all of the ways we described is like, okay, a compliment and you downplay. Now I feel strange, you know, compliment and like just you deflect, then it's like, okay, now I don't want to do that again. Compliment, it comes back. Okay, that's interesting. Like, you know, but a simple thank you or a simple like celebrating the moment. I feel like we don't want to be in the present moment with the person complimenting us, because then also we're like seen in that moment. I think sometimes we don't. Yeah, I think sometimes we don't want to be seen and like stay in the present moment of someone seeing us. Well,
sometimes it is, you know, like even if the the compliment and that moment itself is not awkward. Sometimes it's hard to know where do you go after this compliment.
That's true.
Like after the compliment, I said thank you, and I was sitting there like.
See, that
now
weird
it's awkward.
too now.
So I don't know, because the compliment we received it. Now it's like it is real, like not knowing how to do those moments. We don't even know how to go after that. Like, what do we go to next, or what So I think it's just the conversation itself is important. And I'm not gonna. I've asked a lot of my friends too, and I brought it up, and they've all said around the same thing. It's like, yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why it's so hard to say compliments. I know that we talked about when we were like talking about this episode, something about it being tied to self-esteem.
Oh yeah, so people have studied that, the correlation of self-esteem with the ability to take compliments, where if you have high self-esteem, you can take a compliment. If you have low self-esteem, you can't take compliments because I think you don't believe it, or you just feel wildly uncomfortable about them saying anything positive about yourself. Yeah,
I don't know if I believe that. I mean, I also don't know what it's like to have self.
You don't believe the scientific study? I don't believe science.
Science. I mean, there's 2 C's in that word. I don't know, man. Okay. Well, I guess I don't know what it's like to have high self-esteem either. But it's something like I think about a lot of. Maybe I don't know. Like maybe I need to think about it more, because I hear right away and it's saying like if you have low self-esteem, it's hard to take compliments. But I feel like I know. Like everyone I've talked to, there's high self-esteem, low, and no matter what, it's hard to take compliments.
Yeah.
So that's why I say I don't believe it.
Okay. It's a funny twist to just roast you as you're having a thought.
Yeah. You don't believe in science?
You don't believe in science?
Well,
where do you go from there, Robbie?
I'm gonna take that as a compliment.
No, is it true? I think even high self-esteem, though, I think they take it, and I think it's the same as like positive or negative feedback. They take it in as like data. They don't take it in as like writing of their self-worth. You know, I think that like someone with high self-esteem can, even if a compliment like can make anyone feel a little bit like, oh, being noticed right now. I think they don't be like, oh, I have value because they believe it. Just like they don't, if someone says negative, they don't think my value is in question because they believe it. I think they hold on to the power of their own internal view of themselves and not giving the power away to outside opinions. That would be my assumption of that.
That also feels like a superpower, because it's like, for me, it actually matters who's complimenting me. To me, like, now I do remember I grew up in the islands, like everybody sings. Nobody was like, man, your kids, like they sing so good. It was just like, it was impressive if we all sang together. But if I sang a solo, nobody would point it out. But that's also just my culture. We wouldn't say like, man, that solo. But the thing is, I would sing in high school, and then people that can't sing, they're like, man, you sing so good. We're like, oh, thanks, man.
You're like, I don't care, because you don't know how to sing.
Yeah, you don't know how to sing. And then I remember this, like, I didn't notice I was like that until out of nowhere there's somebody like that, like they sang so good. And then they heard me sing. I was like, wow, you sing good? I was like, I do? Like, maybe I do sing, you know? I don't remember what I said out loud. I just remember what I thought and I felt, and I'm like, that compliment actually hit.
So maybe sometimes it's the credibility of who's giving you a compliment.
1,000% to me. Like, I don't know. Now that you say that, I'm wondering if it's like the people that I think have the most style and most fashion. If they say that I dressed cool today, I'm like, whoa, I feel like, okay. Today,
gonna repeat this one.
Yeah. And the person that maybe isn't as dressed, as stylish all the time, and they say,
someone
man,
wearing
you're looking
Crocs?
fresh, bro. Yeah.
Don't believe you.
Yeah, I was like, man, like you looking fresh today, Robbie. I'm like, dang. It's probably not look good today.
It's probably my worst outfit if you like this one.
Yes. So I do think like the person saying it matters a lot, and it depends what they're complimenting me on. It's like, do they have credibility in that? It means a lot to me. You know, if I can imagine if we, you know, talking about someone like Joe, like I love the way he speaks. If I ever spoke in front of anybody, and he's like, the way that you did that was so good, it means so much. Because the way that he speaks, you know, and so. Even you, like, something I've admired about you, giving you a compliment here, is that I just like the way that you think and the way you ask questions. And so even you asking me to be on the podcast, I was like, I would think you would look for more people that are good at like just coming up with like the, you know, topics or talking points. I think I just like to laugh and joke. I don't think I have enough deep conversations as I wish I would. Or I have had, and yeah, so like a compliment from you like was just asking me to be on the, I was like, oh, maybe I am good at like having conversations, you know, not just connecting. And so, yeah, it depends who gives you the compliment.
That's so, one, thank you. The test. Got it. Real time. Taking it in. I think there is so much of like who's giving it. Like, do they have the, like the credibility? They even understand what it took to get to that and be able to honor it and say thank you, you know?
Yeah.
But it did make an interesting question in my head.
Yeah.
Then why don't you take compliments from Courtney? Like you said, you feel weird back and forth, and she has the most credibility in the world. So what makes that feel like a deterrent for you?
That one is different because I don't know how to flirt.
She's here filming with us. She's laughing in the background.
Yeah. I think friends of mine that have been my friend for a long time would never recall me flirting.
I remember single Robbie.
Okay, yeah.
Tough waters.
Yes. So I don't remember me just flirting. And like, I'm not saying for anyone else's reason. My personal, says I don't know how to take any compliments, especially about, I grew up, man, this is now get a little maybe too deep and stuff, but I just grew up bullied all the way until I was in 8th grade. So I only know how ugly I am or how nerdy I looked or how, whatever it was. So I got like from being verbally abused to being physically. So if someone would actually say something nice, I'll be like waiting for the punch.
Wow.
You know?
Well, looking at you, I don't think anyone would have assumed that. I think they see like big, strong, burly man.
I had a comb over till I was in 11th grade.
I don't know. Even if you have a comb over, I'd still be scared.
So what's funny is I'll be like, man, why do people bully me, man? You know? And then I look at pictures of when I was little. I was like, oh, that's why.
It's like the
sorry, it's not that you're allowed to look a certain way and you deserve to get bullied, but man,
it's like Crocs on your head.
I set them up. Like I gave him easy stuff, but it was like a thing. Like I don't know what it's like to get compliments. So fast forward to being married, I don't know. Like she'll give me a compliment and I'll say thank you, but she won't stop giving me compliments. I'll just be like, all right, I'm gonna go to the other room now. You know, little stuff like that. Or if I give her compliments, she'll hug me right away so she doesn't have to keep looking at me in the eye.
Oh yeah, eye contact with a compliment.
Eye contact with a compliment? Oh man.
Overwhelming.
So I do love that you're pointing out like her compliments with the most credibility. It does mean a lot. It does mean so much. Do
you find yourself thinking about them after she says it, or you just put it outside of your mind?
I think I just put it outside. I don't think about them.
See, for me, what you shared, it almost seems like a coping strategy of like when you had people come at you and it was painful. Yeah. You just need to put it outside your mind.
Totally.
So then that wall that you built out of protection is now the same wall that's keeping good things from coming in.
100%.
And it's like something that I feel like that's the thread for all of us, like whether it's compliments or not, is like these things that we create out of protection and survival. Yeah. That on one hand really helped us at that time. And really like there was a reason we did those, that if we don't address them later on, like when it's no longer serving us, it's actually going to harm us. Yes. Like, and if we don't look at these coping mechanisms or these strategies or these like just mental structures that we created and reassess and reevaluate, is this good for me? Then it's actually like harm inducing.
Yeah. And it's been so long since I was bullied, but I still, I never really like talked about all that time being bullied and all that stuff. And like sometimes I bring it up to my wife. She's just like, she wants to do this like hit list and go back to all these people. She's like, I want to beat up everybody that like bullied you.
She's like, what was their maiden name? I'm looking them up online.
I was like, no, babe, I've already. But the thing is, I do think about it, and it affected me all the way. Like, so now when I was in college and people would like pick teams, I would never want to play so that you don't have the chance to like not pick me.
Wow.
Or if you're picking me, I remember it when I was bullied. Like one of the main bullies picked me, and I found out later it was just like make fun of me, like not being good at the thing that we were doing, and I was just like, well, that sucks. I thought we were on a team. Well, and like so many times it was like set up, and so now it's like it hasn't. I never feel like triggered or anything, but I do know I don't give people a chance to like, nah, you won't get to like not.
Yeah. Like you won't hurt me.
Yeah, you can't hurt me because I don't even need this.
Yeah, and also you can't compliment me because I don't need that either. I don't need anything from you. I do. As you whisper, I do.
Please.
Yeah.
So yeah, like the defense mechanism is a big deal, and then even my parents, like, they never showed they needed compliments. So I just believed it my whole life. Like it never dictated where they were going to work harder the next day or they were going to give more. They always just the same, like effort every single day doing what they had to do to take care of us. So for me, I go like, they didn't need it. I don't need it. You know what I mean?
Now a quick pause to hear from my sponsors. I'm sitting here on the set of something I'm really excited to bring to you guys, which is the relational e-course called Pillow Talk. I filmed it with my husband, Aaron, and our actual marriage counselor, Dr. Jonathan Cood. And we cover a variety of different topics with this e-course. It's coming out soon, so if you want to be in the know and up to date on when it's released, go to havenpod.com. You can see the little pillow icon on there, put your email in, and we'll give you a heads up of when it's coming out. Okay, back to the episode.
I remember looking up something about like people saying like you need to learn how to give take compliments. It's like good for you and this and that. And I don't know if that's science. I don't believe it either. I don't know.
Well, there is another science study where it's the plants, and there's that one person who would speak harsh words and negative words and words of hate over or was it water? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I know what you're talking about.
It was either water. I think it was actually water because it was like, and if we're like majoritively water, if you look under a microscope, the water that had hate spread to it was not healthy water, but the water that had like positive words, positive intention, light, and like encouragement was thriving. Yeah. So it's also saying like if our words have that effect on water and our bodies are predominantly water, like words affect us at a molecular level. Yes. Yes. Do you believe in that science?
I believe in that science.
I have to get the study right because it definitely wasn't plants, it was water.
Yeah, I do remember there's something with it, but it was speaking into the water, and then it was like freezing it, and but like there's something about me that's saying I don't believe it, and like when you say it, and trust me, like the word that we hear every single week is like how our words affect us, like even for me, it's still hard. Like it's easy to say, oh yeah, I believe it. It's still hard to like live like I believe it, So for me with the compliments, like when someone, like I know so many Tongans and so many people, like cousins and relatives, that like a compliment doesn't do nothing. It looks like it doesn't do nothing for them, and we don't get it. We don't give it like that. Like they're going to like live the way they know they're supposed to live, and like work hard to take care of the family and this and that, and I wonder, but that does now, if I'm saying I believe it, I'm wondering what a compliment would have done to my dad.
Yeah, like looking back, I think also sometimes maybe some of the issue is in the way we give compliments. I think sometimes we give compliments based on outcome instead of like an acknowledgement of what they did to get there. So like instead of saying like, wow, I love that jacket, it's I love how you styled that outfit together. Yes. Or like, congratulations on your spelling test. It's you worked really hard to learn all those words. Like, look at that hard work. Right. And I think sometimes it's also, wow, you got the promotion. It's you bring so much value and you're so deserving of that promotion that they saw that and wanted to acknowledge it. So sometimes I wonder if we point out the outcome, that's where it gets messed up, instead of let's actually look at the important thing, which was how did they even get to that outcome and how can we celebrate that?
That was so good. That was so good. No, seriously, like even talking about, like instead of just telling someone, man, you look good, is like saying it way more thoughtful and detailed. It's like
Well, I remember you because you had a style evolution probably like 6 or 7 months ago. And I was like, Rob, you look awesome. I was like, you look mature. You look put together. I was like, your look is elevated. And I was like, you're doing something different. And you were like, I am. Like you didn't, I don't know if you were saying like, thank you taking the compliment, but you're like, I've tried really hard.
Yes.
So like, I think you were excited because it was about the effort. It was about, you look awesome. No. And I think you were more receptive to it then.
Yes. So I think that's such a important key to the accepting compliments is if the compliment actually like feels like it's you can trust it now because you talk like I know what you're talking about, not just saying, oh, you look good. It's like, oh, so this is good, so I didn't look good last week and this and that. Mm-hmm. You're just saying we're in the moment, it's like you've been like stepping it up, like awesome. And I could talk about that, you know, like that feels like easier to like take and easier to talk about. And I think like that it is sometimes a compliment is just too like, I don't know. Maybe
that's why it feels weird and that's why it dies at thank you is because there's no engagement. But if you're having an actual thoughtful compliment, not just about an outcome, then the other person actually gets more spurred on and inspired to receive it and engage and add on top of it. It's not just like, oh, thank you.
Yes. And I think it matters too how you know someone likes to be complimented. Like some people do love like, okay, I see you. You know, that's something they want to hear. Then for them, that's when they'll be, you know. But for me, don't say you see me. You're not about to see me in the next couple seconds.
You usually, I laugh on this couch because every time I see you sitting, you have 2 pillows in your arms.
Yeah. I saw that there was just this pillow here.
There's just that one and this one. I had to use it for my back. But I was like, but he needs his security pillows.
Yes, I need those pillows because I don't like that. Just shows how much I'm not comfortable with how I look. To be honest, like the more that I think about how many times did I do that, it was always in public settings. It's rarely, but just if I'm alone. But then I adapted it to when I was alone. It's just like I'll do it when I'm alone too, so that it's
just like a security.
Consistent. Yeah.
Well, I think that is like. Let's go back to even how you're kind of changing your style. You advancing your style, actually not like a more attention thing, but it does say, no, I value myself enough to put it together. And it's kind of coming out of like the conformity or the shadows. It's a little bit tall poppy and in a great way of growth, but does that feel uncomfortable?
Now that you pointed it out.
You're like, I hadn't thought about it before.
Coming down. No, you're saying that, and what, that's why for so long I acted like I didn't care about how I dressed, and I would show it by the way I would dress sometimes, because I thought it was sending the message like, I don't care about material things, I don't care about the pricey this. And then when I just understood there was people I loved and I admired, and I was like, I trusted their heart that they cared about it, I went, oh, it's okay too. I thought it was.
You gave yourself permission to do what would feel like an ego thing.
Yeah. It's like, oh my goodness. I could never tell my mom, like, Mom, love you, how much I spent on these pants or this shirt or this jacket.
Yeah.
And then like act like I could still go shopping another day in that year. Like, no way. That was for the rest of the year. That was so talking about how much money, because, you know, we say like, what you could tell what you care about and what like where you spend your money. And so I was like, I never want to act like I care about this and this, but then what it did was make me actually care more about myself and how I look, and like, you know, actually, wow, that's crazy. Even in that time that you're saying I changed, I look in the mirror more. Never look in the mirror unless I'm like just to brush my teeth, do the hair, and then after that, like you could tell, like, you know, the joke would be like, did you look in the mirror this morning? And like I'll be like, no, I didn't. I didn't look in the mirror, bro. I know you wear a shirt and pants, and you know, I might have forgot the socks, but like we out here, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But now, like, I just actually care about colors, and I care like it doesn't have to be like all black and red and this and that. It's like, oh, any colors here, but they just feel like they look cool together, and like I think about it more, and it, like I think one of my friends, Mariah, when she said like one of her favorite things is getting ready, I was like, heck no, man. Like getting ready stresses me out. You know, I know with my wife, with me and her, like she'll come like back and forth like 6 times with different type. Like, what about this one? And I'll be like the worst. I was just like, that one's great, baby. And she's like, oh, Because she wants something that
definitive, like,
yes.
well, it's hot outside, maybe short sleeves, or
yes.
oh, you wore that last week, or like any type of engagement.
Yes. So not just being bad at taking compliments, but learning that, even because I also don't know how to give compliments. I'm wondering, do you think the people that know how to give good compliments are also the ones that receive compliments best?
I do, because I think that they also, again, like, I think they see it as like, it's not a knock on you if you ask about the top and I say, oh, you wore it last week, like, what about the pink one? You know, like, I don't think that it's saying like, oh, what you chose was terrible. And I think this is dynamic engagement. I think it's about connection.
Yeah.
I would say it's actually more of who's willing and has the ability to connect with someone else. And like what level of connection you're comfortable with will be how you can give and receive a compliment. And not take it in as like a knock on your identity. Like me asking Aaron, like, what do you think about this? It's not a knock on me as a person. It's not a knock on even my style choices. Like, I asked him for an outside party opinion and I don't have to take it, but he's, to give it is great. And then if he is honest though, then later on when he does say, I love that, I know he means it.
Yeah.
Like, I know that he wouldn't just be saying that to pacify me. Like, and then it gives me actually more pep in my step, because it's the same credibility. I'm like, oh, you wouldn't just say that.
I'm wondering, is feedback super different than compliment?
Well, yeah, because
compliment straight up.
I think compliment is like celebratory.
So compliment is, or at least the nature of it is meant to be like positive, right?
Yeah.
Because there's also like the negative ones where it's just like a backhanded compliment.
Well, like a passive aggressive compliment. Yeah, I think that would be like a more of
compliment.
Yeah, like a critiquey kind of undertone. I think.
But I'm wondering, like, even me, I'm thinking like, I remember me and my friends talking about we don't love feedback,
Oh yeah.
So it's like hearing anything at all, but it's just, I guess we're used to hearing so much like bad that eventually when there's something good, we're just like, is this really good or is it like really bad?
Well, yeah, I mean, especially you shared your story about growing up, like you would be braced for it. I think even like the healthiest of individuals, tough feedback is tough. Like, it hurts to hear, even if I know in my head, I want to get better. I want to hear this.
Yeah.
This is important for me from a trusted person, It reminds me of The Office, where it was like, Dwight is like, oh, kiss, keep it simple, stupid. Great advice, hurts my feelings every time. That's how I feel with feedback, is like, great advice, hurts my feelings every time.
I heard this thing that Pastor Joe said was so good. And I think it's like, I was thinking about it this morning, but he said it the other day, where someone said from the Olympics about like wanting gold but not needing gold.
Yes. Uh-huh.
And that to me like was like the ultimate thing when it comes to like even like anything that I do is like knowing I want this but I don't need it helps me to never worry like am I going like getting super egotistical or something. So
well, I think it keeps the power back with you, not the power in this outcome that could or couldn't happen. It's I'm going to be okay no matter what. Like, and I'm not going to relinquish my power to something outside of my control.
Okay. How long have you been good at or better at taking compliments? Because I feel like you get it and you understand it. Even as we have the conversation, you understand my side of it, but you also are like, you give me like high self-esteem vibes. And I'm just wondering, like, have you been like that because your family was such on the opposite end of it? Or was there something, you really had to fight to get to?
That's a good question. I think my family was definitely encouraging. Like, primarily my mom. Like, my mom was just... she celebrated us for sure, but there's the three of us. And I'd say I probably have the highest self-esteem and confidence. I think I just came out of the womb that way. Delusional. I think there's some piece of my brain that's just like, well, if you don't think I'm awesome, okay. That's your thing. Because I do want to get better and I do want to have like the real like humility and trust, but also I kind of, if I'm not for someone, then okay. But I am still human. So I do find myself like if someone I trust says something, I harbor that and I keep it precious and it means a lot to me. Not a lot of people, but there are select few people that I give like a lot of my heart to. And so when that happens, that's when I hold it tight. Like it does feed me in a way. And I remember asking my mom, I was like, man, I feel so like, with certain people, I say I feel kind of needy. Like I really need them to affirm me, and I really need that, like from a select few. And she was like, "It sounds like you don't want to be human. Like it sounds like you don't want to have any needs." And I was like, "Yeah." Like, it feels vulnerable to then, but I think that's also kind of intimacy.
Yeah,
is the power to hurt me and the power to like love and grow. You know.
How do you feel like you see that with your kids now?
Oh, yeah. This one's interesting because Isley's very sensitive. Like she's super, super tender. She's very much like Aaron. And so I pick up on these little things where like she'll kind of come up to me like out of nowhere and be like, "Mommy, am I being a good listener?" Oh. Like she wants me to see and acknowledge these things in her. Oh. And she kind of wants to be like, "Mommy, did you see that I did this?" And like, I can tell that she needs that from me. And so I want to give that to her. I'm her mom. She's young. I also want to be like, "Well, what do you think? Like, do you think you're being a good listener? What do you like believe?" Or sometimes, if her little brother is bullying her, he's a little bit of a tank. He'll say something and he goes so extreme where she's like, "I love blue." And he goes, "No, you don't." And she's like, "I love blue." And he goes, "You're never going to wear blue ever again." Like he antagonizes her and she's so sensitive. She's like, "Mom, he says I could never do it ever again." So I taught her to say, "That's what you say. That's not what I say." So I'm trying to also teach her that what you say matters. And if someone says something different, you can trust what you say.
Oh, that's so good.
So that's how I see it with my daughter. My son, Echo.
Yes.
I can't convince him of anything. He is so sure of himself. He is so intense and so great that like I think it's a little bit similar of like my makeup of like I don't think I'm gonna have to coach him in that. Yeah, like I think I'm gonna have to like just channel it into healthy ways, but he's so insistent on who he is and what he likes that I don't think I have the same coaching dynamic I do with her.
That's so awesome that you have one that you feel like you see you and the other one you see Aaron in. Yeah, because Aaron is more of that way too. Like he is very like, "Well, like, what do you think about this?" Or, you know, what's he this? Is. Yeah. Oh, I could compliment that guy. Tell me, what would you see of Aaron? That guy, his brain, the way that he thinks, it blows my mind. It's not just what he thinks about, but how quickly he thinks about things. Like, yes, it's no wonder you have the most episodes with that guy. You know what I mean? He's just like, just ideas everywhere. And then I know I'm not a daddy yet. It's gonna happen, but like the puns, I appreciate it so much. It's he's just a like, words guy. That's for sure. Quicker than no joke. It's quicker than you could get it from ChatGPT. Like it goes in and it comes out right away. And I was like, "So how do you think of these?" He goes, "I don't. I hear them as you guys say it." I go, his ideas come so fast. But okay, as you're talking, it's so interesting. Neither of us are uncomfortable about you complimenting Aaron right now. Because he's not here. No, I mean, like, isn't that weird where we're just we're doing good compliments, not just like, "Oh, he no, they're cool." Specific. And we're like totally free and there's no weirdness to go because he's not here to like listen to them. Isn't that interesting? That's interesting. I wonder what I would have said if he was right here. Yeah. Or I wonder what he would have said. Like, I think he would have been like, "Thanks, man." He would have just turned around and left. Yeah. He's like probably like, "Oh, listening at the door," and then leaving. Yes. But that it reminded me too that he like him. He's very good at asking like questions or doing the "what do you think?" Instead of just like giving the final answer. I love what you're saying about like Icy saying, you know, she's like, "I need," and then you're saying like, "What do you think?" It's like not just doing like it's taking it to another level. Yeah, I want her to trust her inner voice. Yes, and I think that that's probably like the key to a lot of that I want for my future kids is that they know. Yes, compliments is great. I think the bigger thing for compliments is making sure someone doesn't feel dumb when they're trying to give you this gift of a compliment. But it's also knowing that you know your self-worth before anybody speaks it into you. What do you think if your son was dealing with what you dealt with? What would you tell him at that age? Well, it was interesting because I think I would tell my dad stuff, but in the islands, I grew up in the States. I was born and raised here, but my parents are straight from the islands. And so I still felt like I grew up Tongan because they spoke to me in Tongan. I ate Tongan food. I went to church. It was all Tongans. But when I went to school, it was all like English speaking and it's Americans. And so I started being proud to be American. But the thing was, I never felt like I was American or Tongan. So I'm like, everyone bullying me made sense to me. I go, oh, yeah, because I'm not, you know.
You always felt other.
Yeah. And so I would tell my dad stuff that would happen at school. I literally remember telling him somebody need me, and I fell on the floor, and they took the money I had for lunch. And I remember him telling me, like, they're playing around. You got to learn how to play around. Like, you got to learn how to do it back, and it's like, you'll be good. Because he couldn't imagine someone that's I don't know.
Someone trying to harm or be violent.
Like, he's like, you got to learn how to be rough with the kids. Like, I think he was thinking like that, you know, versus like someone picking on someone and being mean, and, you know. And so, yeah, I felt like I tried. And so for me, now that I know what it's like, if my kids, I would be like, I feel like just talking to him about it, seeing if he feels comfortable with like addressing it at all, and how he would want to address it, you know, and kind of go from there. But I think the first step is actually just feeling heard. So for me, I just never really like ever talked about all the stuff that happened when I was bullied. But I do believe if I sat down a little bit more and thought about it, it would help me be more ready if my kid ever went through it. I think the thing is, I would ask my kid so many things before like he would ever have to bring it up, you know. And maybe that doesn't mean they would share it before like it would be too late. But I think like because I'm aware of what there's things like that happen at schools here in America, I'll be more ready for that conversation, and I'll be looking out for it more than my parents. Like, they would just like put me in school because that's what you're supposed to do. I gotta go to work, you know. It wasn't really like what could happen that was bad at school. It was just felt like going to school was already a win. You know? Yeah,
and they were doing the best with what they had.
Yeah.
But also, it did leave you feeling a little unprotected or unheard.
Yeah. And that's something I learned later too, because I didn't get to go to school with my cousins, but I felt like it would have been such a big difference. But then I don't know how good or how bad whatever it would have been, but like I do know, like at that time, there's a time where me and my brothers, when we moved to Arizona, like a lot of my cousins, they got into some things, you know, that. You know, whether people got arrested or like stuff with like joining gangs and stuff. And again, even my cousins there, they were just like me. Like, we love just to laugh and play games, but just the environment they got stuck in. I was in a neighborhood that was a really nice neighborhood because of people that took us in. And they were in a tough neighborhood where I only had to go there for church. So I didn't have to deal with that. So for them, if I talk about bullying, they'll laugh at me because like, bro, you know. But I was really felt like I was going through it alone in this school. So I think just learning, it took me a long time to understand like, oh, my parents, how would they ever know this would happen, you know? But before there was a time I was like, I can't believe this and that, you know? And then like it took somebody to remind me like, hey, your parents love you the best they could. I go,
yeah,
that I do believe. So now I can't hold it against them.
Well, no, definitely. I mean, you know better, you do better. But it does also sound that like just someone believing you that it was wrong would have validated instead of saying like, oh, they're playing, or you want to see real bullying. Like being like, yeah, someone kneeing you and taking your money is really messed up. Like that, of course you're upset about that. Like that sucks. Even that simple acknowledgement, I feel like would be huge.
1,000%. And what sucks is like I'm hanging out with other kids that get bullied, and they're the only ones that know, and like we're just getting bullied together. And we're like, ugh.
Yeah, like, you're just like stuck in this
like,
loop.
I got bullied. Yeah, they just took your money finally. They've been taking my money. It's just like, so there's nobody that feels bad for anybody.
Yeah, it's just like at least together there. Yeah. Yeah,
and it's crazy because this might not be tied to him. We might not use it, but just to finish the story, at 8th grade, the bully that bullied me since 1st grade, I beat him up. We got this fight. Like, he just pushed me against the wall, and I hit my head, and I couldn't think. And I said, I told you not today. And like, I pushed him and he could not believe it.
You never fought back.
Never fought back.
Yeah.
Ever. Never, Haven.
Yeah.
And that day he pushed me too far and I couldn't think. And I actually beat him up. Like like I'm punching him and stuff. And then it took a teacher to hold my arm as I swung it. I pulled their body and they yelled because it hurt them. And they snapped me out and I'm like, I'm so sorry. And I'm trying to say sorry.
Yeah.
And it was too late. And the principal, he got in trouble. And nothing happened to me. Just because they're like, no, Robbie is this small, quiet boy that.
He must have been very, very, very provoked.
There's no way he did that. Yeah. Like that's, and even then I didn't even feel good. I felt so bad.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't, I was like, he deserved it. But in my head, I'm like, I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry.
Well, it's so tough. It's this weird thing of like, how do you stand up for yourself, you know?
Yeah.
But also like if there's violence coming at you, like it's a really like, which way are you going to go scenario? Like taking it more or standing up? Yeah.
And I'm grateful it didn't go too far. It just went to where I got in a fight at school. Yeah. But even my dad, after telling him that, he still didn't, there was nothing. It was like,
no way.
What?
It makes me kind of think of if there's a story of this little elephant that was chained against this like pole in the ground so it wouldn't run away and it wouldn't leave. And as it grew, it never tried to get away because it was like, I tried that before and it didn't work. It didn't realize I'm bigger. I have power now. All you have to do is just use the slightest bit of effort and this chain's broken. But it stays stuck to this chain because it thinks it still views itself as that little elephant. It doesn't see its new power. It doesn't see its new growth. Wow. And it doesn't see that it has the ability to, like, it outgrew this issue, you know? But sometimes I feel like we as humans stay the mindset of the little elephants of like, well, I tried and it didn't work. Or, you know, like we don't see that like maybe you've grown. And if you try one more time now, like it can be broken.
Yeah. And it goes back to like originally saying like, I know myself, but now you don't know the new self sometimes.
Yeah.
Like you could even say like now, like, Robbie, I know who I am now, but like you might be this new version that you don't even know unless somebody that's so close to you be like, no, you're better than that now. You're stronger. You know, whatever it is, but it's understanding, wow, I am. But, you know, even if you have this high self-esteem, you can always still think of yourself too short than what you really are. Because like as we, you know, surround ourselves with the right people, we keep growing into these people that's why we did in the first place. Like, I think my advice to anybody when I talk to people, no matter what they go through, I'm like, you need to surround yourself with better people. It's like my first thing because what they say matters, you know? And so for me, it does prove that I believe in science.
You know, I was sitting here thinking, how do we land the plane? And then you did it perfectly. Because I was like, how do we go back to what we were talking about before? And now we did.
Yes.
So thanks for adding a bow on this.
That was it. You know, here for the bows.
But I did have one kind of final question thought. So culturally, you grew up with this viewpoint on compliments, and then you had some tough life experiences that impacted you. But then also faith is a big piece. So now you subscribe to this belief that there's a God that loves you and says positive things about you. How do you reconcile that if it's, you know, all of those ingredients coming together?
Yeah. That's just like it's a hard thing to sometimes realize that because it's hard to, so sorry. But yeah, because it's hard to believe in myself in a lot of things, when you have someone that believes in you so much, it can be overwhelming, and you can even feel that it's true, but you just don't know if you're ready to receive it. And so I feel like growing up in the church, and like I'm trying to be so careful because I would never mean to talk bad about my church or anything that I grew up in. It's like it really did make me who I am today. But just a lot of the way that I grew up in the church at that time is all about like what happens is the end times. What if we were to die today? What what would happen, heaven or hell. And it would just be the first time I felt like I finally accepted Jesus into my life is because I was scared to go to hell. That was it wasn't because I felt like his love was so good and like, why wouldn't I? It was like you have to do this, or you know, and it just, that's what it felt like. And I say the first time I accepted Jesus, because I accepted Jesus, I feel like 100 times. And not that you need to, but that's just what it felt like. Every time I messed up, this and that. And so it goes back to this idea of like with the compliments. Like if I felt like sometimes I did feel like I deserve compliments, but it's still, even though it's hard to take, I'll be like, nah, I get that one. Like I do sing a little bit, you know, like, but then there's other ones where it felt like, I didn't deserve that compliment. Like I didn't earn that one. Like that one felt like too free. You know, I don't know how to word it. So it goes back to like the way that when God says he loves me, I'm just, no, there's no way. And so because I just knew and I believed in the, you know, the Bible and scripture saying like God loved, we love God because he loved us first. That's the only, you know, the reason we love God, and he loved us. It was never compelling enough. I was just living in fear the whole time. It wasn't like, I'm just so grateful he loves me. I was like, I'm so like, thank goodness he loves me, or else I would go to hell. But then it started turning into this thing with like in the last, like, you know, 10, 15 years of my life, I'm like looking at it and saying like, wait, what, this life matters, not just like what happens after this. And like God's love matters because of the, like, how I love people now, not what's going to happen. Like if the world was ending and we always just kept talking about the world ending, and not like talking about what to do in the life now. And so for me, it definitely just hindered the way I was able to hear God and how he could love on me, because I was so guarded and closed to anybody giving me a compliment. And so you knew I was going to cry, you know what I'm saying? You knew I was going to cry.
I was ready.
You were ready for it? Then where's the tissues? All right. But yeah, just the way that God tried to love on me and was loving on me, it would be hard to receive it because it was hard to receive love from anybody else. Where I always had to be like, no, I don't deserve that. I don't deserve that. I just, like, I can't take that. I can't receive that. I can't. And so it affected the way my relationship was with God. It wasn't until years later where I saw a healthy, like the way that people were able to let God love on them and receive it freely. And I was like, oh, I don't have to like work for that. Mm-hmm. And I knew that. I knew it, and it's still like, but the way that my life was lived, it didn't show that I knew that. So yeah, I'm grateful now where I'm in a space where I wake up and I'm grateful for the way God loves me. I go to sleep grateful. I'm just like, God, how could you love? You know, there's songs that the ones I gravitate towards now is like, how could you love somebody like me? How could you still do this? And I'm singing in a place where like I know it's true, even if like logic doesn't sum it up, you know, best. So,
it's really beautiful. Yeah. It seems like it was a big transition from like having to earn a compliment, a gift, versus receiving it freely. Not trusting that the person giving it to you wants you to have it. And it reminds me, you had shared a story about one time you went to some type of like worship service or whatever. And can you tell us, remember when you were saying that the person leading it paused it?
Yeah.
And it impacted you?
Yes. Well, what he said was like, can we just take a moment and just let God love you? Just let God love you. Because I know we're always fighting, like, what do I have to do to make, like, for God to love me? And it's just sitting and receiving it. And he's like, let's take 10 seconds. And it was a long text. I'm like, I have to do something now. Like, let's at least sing some worship music so it feels like I'm kind of doing something there, you know?
Yeah, to earn it.
Just sitting there quiet. It felt like the longest. It's like 1 Mississippi, 2. And but it just really did change things for me. I was sitting with my friend Andy, and he's like, wow. And he said, wow. I was like, oh, so it's not just me. He grew up different. He's Puerto Rican, you know, and he just admitted too, like, this idea of always having to work to earn certain things, like to earn love and to earn a gift. And it just, the difference with that and receiving it freely is like, so, it was so big. And yeah, I feel like I'm getting better at it with humans because I'm getting better at it with God.
That's really, really beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you for coming on here, Robbie.
It's my pleasure to be here, and sorry for the guy just went from crying.
No, it was worth it. I think it was on the surface, it seems like a lighthearted topic. Like, why do compliments make us cringe? And when you really look into it, there's so many factors that go into it.
Yeah.
So much of it can be like self-confidence or cultural differences or the way even the compliments worded or who's it coming from or the context. Like, there's a lot there, but you really let us go deep into what it looked like for you. And so I appreciate the gift of getting to hear more of your journey.
Oh, thank you for listening. And yeah, I just loved being on the show. Thank you.
You're welcome. So thank you all for listening. You can like, subscribe, and follow. Follow is the most important one because then it'll automatically come up in your queue when new episodes drop every other Monday. Spotify, Apple Podcast, YouTube, wherever you are listening to this, you already found me. So I don't have to list the different platforms. You can just figure it out. You can go to havenpod.com, sign up for my newsletter. I give some extra things with merch or with like live speaking events or just new tidbit information or book clubs that you don't get otherwise. So sign up havenpod.com, and then I'll see you on the next episode.